This is something that I wanted to ask you. Did you see the quote from the Dem aide who was like, sports are just too right-wing now, and that's why we didn't win? And it's like, no, there are a lot of reasons why you didn't win, but also there are lefties who are sports fans. Like, yeah, we see Palantir when J.D. Vance and Elon Musk and Donald Trump are at the Army-Navy football game. We see the Lockheed Martin sponsors, and it disgusts us. Like, we know about this stuff. So that was long-winded.
Yeah.
Did you see the quote?
I didn't, but it's a dumb quote. Sports are more progressive than they ever have been. And in fact, sports lead progress in this country. Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier 17 years before the Civil Rights Act.
Amen.
People like Billie Jean King and Althea Gibson were incredibly important when it came to women's rights. And so I think that is an ignorant quote. That is a quote not understanding any of the context of it. And it's a quote not understanding now, because it used to be like, okay, I did a podcast for a bit called Major League Podcast, where I would interview former Major League Baseball players. And so typically these were guys who played in like the 70s, 80s.
Love it.
And I had to unfriend a lot of them on Facebook because I couldn't deal with their bullshit. I was just like, oh my God, their viewpoints are so backwards. And I've gotten to know a bunch of the guys playing now, and they're not like that. Yeah, you got some Nick Bosa's, absolutely.
For sure.
But the majority, I think it's the majority now, of people playing professional sports have some progressive in them, if not a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the owners are wealthy billionaires and thus are going to be that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone can go to a game. Like, Trump at a game doesn't make a difference. Like, that doesn't mean the sport is right wing. It just means he bought 3 tickets.
Or was given.
Or was given 3 tickets.
Can I read you the quote real quick? Because I pulled it up, and I'd love to put this in context. So this is Harris campaign manager Rob Flaherty, and Awful Announcing posted this quote. It's from Semaphore, so let's give them credit. Sports and culture have sort of merged together, and as sports and culture became more publicly and sort of natively associated with this Trump conservative set of values, it got more complicated for athletes to come out in favor of us. It got more complicated for sports personalities to take us on their shows because they didn't want to, quote, do politics, he went on. That's not to say that it was the campaign person went on.
Yeah.
That's not to say Steph Curry and Steve Kerr and LeBron James and all of them coming out wasn't impactful or important. It was more impactful because it had gotten so much harder. But certainly the culture that has been associated with heavy sports watching has become associated with right-wing culture in a way that makes it harder for us to reach people, close quote.
Oh my God, shut up. Like, that is so ignorant and so tone deaf and so out of touch. Also, it ignores the fact that, like, NASCAR is starting to have pride events. And
true.
Like, and I mean, listen to any interview with Greg Popovich. Like, there is such a shift in sports toward the left. And yes, are there these gravy swilling idiots that also exist there? Absolutely. But that is a space that has shown progress before. Sports are such a huge part of accepting people of different races, different genders, and while they are still, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's been tremendous success, and that quote was one of the most sour grapes pieces of garbage I've heard in a long time, and that is a shame because there are a lot of reasons why Harris lost, and I don't think a single one of them has to do with sports.
I agree, but I also think this is just playing the blame game. No one wants to really be like, you know what? There's a reason why we lost. Instead, it's no. We didn't lose. The problem is they couldn't be reached. We did everything right. That's what I'm hearing from this.
The main reason the Harris campaign lost is because they didn't hammer home that Trump's messaging was false. The idea that Trump won because of the economy Yes, whatever party is in power during a bad economy has a disadvantage. But this is a perceived bad economy. This is an individualized bad economy. This is actually a good economy.
Right.
And if the Harris campaign leaned on the idea of how bad things were under Trump, why is he going to make things better? Why do you believe he's going to make things better? Hammered home his business failings, hammered home that the fact that he's a good businessman is a freaking myth, that he's a con man, and like stick to that messaging, that would have been impactful. And I think that would have done it. But, you know, they didn't. Instead, I guess it's Nick Bosa's fault.
Right. It's Brock Bowers' fault for doing the touchdown dance. Yeah, of course.